Returning to running is something really big, not only after a really long lockdown, but even after rehab or even just you haven't done it for a while. So there's two parts that people normally struggle with when it comes to return to running. One is the actual conditioning aspect, and then two is the actual tissue tolerance. And I'll explain what each of those mean. Your conditioning would be the fact that when you do start running again, you feel like you're coughing up blood. Editor Con here for some clarification. What I was just talking about there is kind of what people feel when they start off conditioning and what something they really struggle with. But conditioning itself is really just how well you can take oxygen from the air that you breathe to create energy. It's important to make that distinction here. Your lungs just hurt overall. That there is different to the actual tissue tolerance. Because conditioning itself, we can get through a lot of different ways. We can get it through bike riding, battle ropes, different circuits, a whole bunch of different options we've actually got for our conditioning. Whereas when it comes to tissue tolerance, that's just talking about how well our body can actually tolerate the loads that come with running. Every step that we take when we're running, we're absorbing multiples of our body weight. That's through our knees, ankles, all of our joints and muscles. So we need to make sure that we're building up both of these at the same time so that we can return. The first thing I'll say is that you need to start off slow. Don't be worried about the fact that for your first run, you might only go for 5-10 minutes. That's probably even a stretch for some people, depending on your actual fitness level. We need to take a graded approach, so you start off slow and then you build up slowly. If you run one day and then the next day you can't walk, that's not doing you any good because you're not going to be able to train again until 2, 3, 4 days later. We'd rather go really light and train more often, which is actually going to get us ready to get back to running properly. So the way that we can build our conditioning is using a whole bunch of other tools first. So we can be using the bike, we can be using battle ropes, we can be using different types of circuits, all so that we can build up that conditioning even while we're not hitting the pavement running. So from a tissue tolerance perspective, we need to make sure that our body is ready to absorb the loads that it's getting through running. So we can do this through strength and we can do this through graded exposure to loads. So for strength, you want to make sure that you're actually training the muscles that are going to absorb that force. So we can do calf raises, both standing, straight-legged and seated. And then we can also do things like squats and hinges, which are going to strengthen our muscles. Additionally, we also want to make sure that we're bringing back our load quite slowly. What this means is that sometimes we might do our really short runs on concrete, and then we can use our other runs that are going to do a little bit more conditioning, and we're actually going to be running for longer out on grass. Grass, or like an indoor corded area, is going to reduce the amount of force actually going through all of our joints by quite a lot. This will let us actually get in the running and do the technique of running, while reducing the amount of force going through us a lot more. Then, as I said, graded exposure to both. So we can start building up our conditioning, and then we can also start incorporating more of that conditioning from our running. Then from there, you just keep on applying those principles and keep on growing as you go. We need to have a base of strength. We need to then also be well conditioned, and then we need to build up the tissue tolerance as we go. Without any one of those three, your running experience is not going to be any fun. If you need help with those, I'd say grab a coach or somebody external from you. They'll be able to help you be a little bit more objective with it, and it's going to help you really take that graded exposure the right way. If you need help, get in contact, but either way, let's train hard. The camera's doing something weird, so I've got no clue how long this is going to hold for. Alright.